Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to my review of the Nextool Multitool. That's the third one there. Those others are there for size comparison. So we have the Surge, the Wave, the Nextool, the SwissTool Spirit X, SOG Power Lock, and the Gerber Center Drive. Now the length of the Nextool closed is 4.3 inches. Alright, so it's not the longest, but it's not the shortest. It is a fairly wide multi-tool though, because they had to fit some large scissors in there. There you see the pliers, and it also has replaceable wire cutters. It's got some very large scissors. They performed very well. I've got a lot of demonstration footage coming up. You see the pocket clip there too. And the other stuff, well, that is a plain edge blade, one-handed opening with an opening slot. It's got a locking wood saw. It's got a line cutter, a can opener, a bottle opener, and 2 screwdriver ends on those smaller tools. It also has a glass breaker, as you see there, and really it's a small ceramic ball, right? Now there it is next to a more conventional glass breaker. Now, you know, that barely protrudes, and the reason that they did it that way is because this has a pocket clip, so just for comfort, they didn't want it, you know, stabbing into you, so that's a concession to comfort. Right, so this is a fairly comprehensive and useful tool set, but what is missing? Well, it does not have a reamer awl, it does not have a serrated blade, and it does not have a metal file. But on the plus side, it does have those very large and useful scissors. Alright, let's test this multi-tool out. There is the saw in use. We're going to make a notch, but first we're going to saw 2 parallel grooves. Right now, at the time I got this, which was a few months ago, it was only available on gearbest.com, so I'll include that link in the text description box, and I'll try to find some other good items on their site just because, you know, their shipping takes a while, so I want it to be worth your while. So check out the text description box for some choice picks. Right, but as you can see, the saw works pretty well. Even a small saw can be useful in woodworking and bushcraft. Alright, there are my 2 parallel grooves and an ant who wanted to be in the video. So now you gotta remove the wood that's in between, and boom, magic of editing. Yeah, so there's a nice notch with 90-degree angles. I did use a small but sharp whittling knife to remove the wood in between. I tried using the blade on this, but it's a large blade, and it's you know, it's not exactly a woodworking blade, just a utility. But because this saw locks, you can use the spine of the saw for other things, including scraping bark, a very bushcrafty task. You can also use it to strike a fire steel. Alright, you can use the teeth as well, which is going to wear down your fire steel a bit faster. But, well, I use the teeth just because, hey, I got a whole video to film, so I'm in a hurry. And that is a freebie fire steel. That's just some dollar fire steel that came with a knife, but it works really well. And boy, it sure was windy that day. You know, gotta be careful. I got precautions in place, you know, for the fire, I mean, of course. You know, always observe, be aware of your surroundings. Dangers, gotta survive, man. That's one to grow on. Alright, so the saw was very useful. I'm glad they made it lock. That makes it quite more useful. Alright, but what about the big scissors? Well, if you work in an office and you need to cut some paper, then you're probably a wimp. No. You're probably a very wealthy nerd. You know, if you're working in IT, as many of my subscribers do, that is actually a very lucrative profession. Alright, here it is on some cord, the type of cord you can get from the home improvement store. I certainly did not get this cord from the dollar store. No, actually, yes, I did. You could find some good prepper materials at the dollar store, but this is no challenge for the scissors. This is just a warm-up, man. This is just a light snack for these pretty sharp scissors. Now, this is some plastic binding that you sometimes get on a package. It does quite well on the plastic binding. Well, almost hit you there with one of the pieces. Here's some paracord. Now, one thing I found is that if you cut closer to the pivot, the scissors work a lot better. And that is just because, as with most scissors, the 2 halves of the scissors are slightly farther apart towards the tips, right? But as you can see, I mean, this kills the paracord. This does really well. Now, these scissors work well because of the tolerances. There's a lot of precision in the manufacture of these, and I think that's what separates them from some of the cheapo scissors I've tested that did not work nearly as well. So I definitely like these scissors so far. All right, now here is some bike tubing, recycling it into Ranger bands. It does well on the tubing as well. All right, so I'm liking these large scissors. Right, we're seeing more and more multi-tools go big with the scissors. We saw there's a Schrade multi-tool, or Schrade branded at least, right, that has large scissors like this. And then we had the Roxxon KS and the Roxxon Storm, right? And there will be many more because it's just a design that works well. All right, there it is on cardboard, and you're going to see how thick this cardboard is coming up. But yeah, it does well on the cardboard. Yeah, there you go. You see how thick that is? All right, so it does well on the cardboard, but can you garden with it? Well, I can't because I don't know how. No. You can prune things. I mean, you got to prune some rose bushes. I don't know what you're doing. What are you growing there? Is that even legal? No. Yeah, you can prune. You can garden. It's pretty popular with the preppers. All right, is the line cutter, is it sharp? Well, there it is on some paracord. The line cutter is very sharp, sometimes called a rescue hook. Some people want to call it a gut hook. It depends what you're cutting, but they call it a line cutter. Now here it is on a nylon strap. That was part of an old sheath that gave its life for the cause. And yeah, I mean, that thing lightsabered through it. I would say that the line cutter is very sharp. All right, what's next? Screwing. Lots and lots of screwing. All right, so it's got a Phillips screwdriver end at the end of the line cutter. Interesting. It also has a flathead screwdriver on one of the other small tools, but there you see it screwing, unscrewing, and then screwing back in a screw on my good old Kershaw Camp 12 machete. All right, so the screwdriver screws, and now the sharpness of the blade. I'll let you listen. Yeah, now this is the initial sharpness plus about 30 seconds of just basically cleanup by me. So initial sharpness plus a little touch up. Yeah, I did touch that up with a Spyderco Sharp Maker, but only for 30 seconds, so it came relatively sharp. That is a Spyderco Sharp Maker, well used. So it came pretty sharp, but here's a tougher task for it. I sped this up. Now, I just drank a lot of coffee. That's actually normal speed. But if you need to use your multi-tool blade as a box cutter, which you probably don't because box cutters exist, but hey, this is a review. Look, I had to cut something. Now, if you have to, you know, in a pinch, you need to cut a box, you work in shipping, you work in inventory, stuff like that. Yeah, the blade was pretty sharp. You know, and I don't mind that they didn't put a serrated or combo edge. I like the plain edge, you know, 9 out of 10 times. Yeah, you know what this is. It's time for the bottle opener. Right, and that is some Budweiser, because that's what the gas station was selling that day. Here is the other opener. I'm not going to open the whole can. I'm just going to show you that it can pierce it. And that also has a wire stripping notch at the base of the opener. And there you go. It pierced it. Alright, here we are gripping things with the pliers. You know, you got to, multi-tool pliers tend to break. Let's be honest, I've heard so many horror stories. So I do tend to test mine out. But, you know, in a pinch, if you don't have some real pliers, I mean, isn't the whole purpose of multi-tools really convenience? It's not that they're ever going to be stronger than real tools. Oh, you like my little $15 hammer thing? Yeah, I use the nail puller on that just, you know, in order to get a grip. The nail has to be at least a little bit pulled out. And in real life, I would just use the nail puller for this task. But as I said, you gotta grip something. Yeah, that one nail just didn't want to give it up easily. But yeah, it's a good test. Yank on your pliers, see if they break. But yeah, I mean, the pliers, they're just like, multi-tool pliers. Don't expect them to take the stress of regular pliers, but that's true of all multi-tools. All right, the wire cutters. That's some easy wire for the warm-up, but it does really well on that wire. And now I've had some subscribers request that I cut some thick, like 3-strand cable wire, because that's what they cut on the job. Well, I mean, I will definitely try to satisfy that request. Here is the 3-strand wire. All right, so, and it's kind of wide, so now it takes 2 cuts to get through. But yeah, it does pretty well on the 3-strand wires. So if you need to cut this stuff on the job, yeah, it'll do. It'll do. I got to cut through the, the rubber around it as well. There's a good shot of it. Yeah, so the people who requested that, hey, your request has been fulfilled. All right, final thoughts. Well, there's a comparison of the scissors. I mean, pretty obviously, one of the main selling points is the big scissors. And you see it compared to, well, we got the Surge, we got a Schrade multi-tool, Roxxon Storm, the Nextool, and a Victorinox Ranger grip, and also the Swiss Tool Spirit X up there. So you see, it's actually, the scissors are very similar to those on the Schrade and on the Roxxon, and we're going to see these cropping up more and more, and I think that's a good thing. Very useful. I gotta say, this Nextool just has scissors that are superior to the smaller scissors on some of my a lot more expensive multi-tools. Overall, I think this is a very good deal. I mean, you're getting a lot for the money, around $40 usually. Price is subject to change, but it's certainly the least expensive of all those tools you see there. I mean, some of those tools are over $100. So this is a really strong value as is. Now, what improvements would I make? Well, I would include a sheath. Even though it does have a pocket clip, I would include a sheath. I would combine the 2 openers into one combo tool, so that would free up a slot. And in that slot, I would either put a reamer, or I would put like a Phillips with a square shank that could fit the bit kit that comes with a lot of multi-tools. Now, another good spot that you could put such a bit driver shank would be at the end of the handle of those scissors, because that would give it a lot of reach. I would also add a lock to the blade. Now, this blade is non-locking because they want to be able to sell this in a lot of countries that have restrictions on locking blades. They could easily add a lock just as the saw has a lock, and I think they should make a version with a lock for America, because the American market is huge and you'll make up the money plus some. Now, this does not have a metal file, but if it had a sheath, you could include a separate metal file in the sheath. Then you could actually use it on the tool itself. And hey, why not put a pry bar tip on that accessory as well? All right, but that's asking way too much. I mean, bottom line, for the price this is, it's very good. I was pleased with the quality of this multi-tool. The scissors, they had to work, because if they hadn't worked, this thing would have been dead in the water. So they had to work, and luckily they did. But I was also just surprised at the sharpness of the blade, the sharpness of the line cutter, the usefulness of the saw. They did a pretty good job. Especially, I've never had a tool that was from Nextool, right? So as one of their first major offerings, is surprisingly well done. All right, but as I said, I got this at GearBest, so check out the links, especially my international viewers, because they're in a tough spot. They can't order from the stores that we order from in America usually, so sometimes GearBest is their only option. I'm trying to help those people out, so check out all those links. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my other videos, my multi-tool playlists. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. All right, this has been We All Juggle Knives. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm out.